Okay, so I've got, in my last video I said I had basically gotten up through step 20, and like my normal procedure, I didn't put any of the tools on because I do those after I get the base coat and all that stuff on, but before weathering. That way it's all kind of, you know, weathered and stuff together. So that was up to that point. Now I've finished 22 and 23. Again, 22 I did not put the tools on, but all the rest, you know, and some of the other, you know, the shovel, the crowbar, stuff like that, I haven't put on yet. But again, I'll be doing that after I get my base coat done. So I'm basically up to here, and again, I have not put on the running gear or the tracks because I do that after I start painting and weathering. That way I can get inside next to the hull a lot easier. So here's what it looks like, and not really a whole lot to say. Everything fit together exactly as it's supposed to, and you know, no surprises. Everything fit well, minimal trimming, minimal seam cleanup. I mean, obviously it's a brand new tool kit, so it's going to be in really great shape, but it just fits together wonderfully. And what's kind of unique about this one, this is the first time I've ever built one like this, is the front of the upper hull has this tab that slides in place underneath the front of the transmission cover, and then in the back there is a poly cap in the upper hull that fits into a pin in the lower hull, and it snaps together. And as you can see here, that is some stellar fit going on right there. I mean, it's perfect, and it just snaps on there. I mean, it just fits on there, and you can take it back off. I mean, I'll be able to take it off when I start painting and not have to worry about cement and all that. So that finishes up to 23. So next up I'll hit start working on the turret, which is step 24 through 29. So I'll get cracking on that and come back. Alright, so next up I've got the hull. When I left off, I was working on the hull and everything, so I've basically made quite a big jump because I've got the hull finished. I've actually got the turret all finished, and have primed it, started painting it. So here's what I've got. I've got my tracks. I've got my first coat of color on the tracks, and I used the Vallejo olive drab surface primer, and I sprayed it right out of the bottle. Didn't have to add anything to it, and it sprayed really well. And part of that success is new airbrush. I got a new airbrush. I'll be talking about it some other time, but that's what I used to spray it, and came out nicely. And because this is olive drab, not only is my primer, but it's also my base coat. So I got that done. So here is what I've got. Here is the upper hull. It is all coated and ready for weathering. And then I've got the lower hull, and I've got the wheels on it because I actually already started the weathering. I did the wash. On it, and I'll show you what I used for that in just a minute. But not really a whole lot to talk about because everything went together splendidly. And nice thing about this, and I talked about it in my last video, is the fact that this pops off, because it makes it a lot easier to paint. It'll make it a lot easier to install the tracks, and I can pop it together. And this front, another place where you'd actually see a seam is the front right here at the top of the transmission housing, and it is just spot on. So it's not going to be it won't look funny once I get it done, but it makes it easier to weather and put the tracks on. And then I've got the turret. And quick note about the turret, what I did here is there is you know, a seam right here from the two parts being cemented together, and I looked, it's kind of subtle the way it turned out, but in looking at my research in my books and a few pictures online of these turrets, there was like a seam line or a mold line from the casting right there, but then it looked, on some of them it looked like they either torch cut it or something, and it's not real smooth right there, but it doesn't have the same texture as the turret. You know, because at first I thought about just sanding it all smooth and just, you know, getting something and texturing it, but that, you know, the ones I saw, that wouldn't have looked accurate. So what I did is using Tamiya basic putty, the gray stuff, which I like. I'm very carefully using this flat blade right here. I use that as an applicator, and I very carefully put it right along the edge. And you might not be able to see it that great in the video. That might be all right. But I applied it very carefully, let it cure, so it's perfectly hard. And then just using this small sanding stick on the coarse side, using a vertical motion, I kind of scraped it to make it look like it was cut or something. And it's really uneven, and that's the way, you know, that's the way I wanted it to look, because that's the way it is in the photos. So hopefully it turned out okay. And don't know if you can tell, but there's a little bit of difference in color between this and this, because I've already applied my wash to this. And what I'm using for my weathering on this particular kit is the Vallejo weathering set for green vehicles. I was able to get this at Hobby Lobby. The regular price is $14.99, but they have a 40% off coupon, so I was able to get it for 40% off that. So it's really, really inexpensive. And I'm kind of partial to Vallejo products if I can get them to work right. And this is what comes in the set. There's a green wash and then kind of a reddish wash. Then there is this color here. It's like a dark, really dark, almost reddish brown, almost black. That's what's on here, and you can't really tell that it's supposed to be a base coat for tracks. Then a buff color. This color, can't remember what, whole red is what it's called. That's called whole red. This one is German camo black brown. This is buff. Then a little jar of pigment, which I've never used, and pigment binder. So my whole plan here is to use this set according to Vallejo's instructions, just to see what it turns out like. And I did a little bit of experimentation with different colors. I used this wash on one of the inner wheels, so you can't see it in case I mess it up. I used the Vallejo wash. I used the Tester's Create FX, whatever you want to call it, acrylic wash. So I'm trying to stick with acrylics. And then I tried these two Winsor Newton Ivory Black and Burnt Sienna Artist Oils with some odorless mineral spirits, just to see which one gave the best results. And I like the way that the oils turned out, but you know, I thought about it and I thought, you know, I'm really going to give this stuff a shot. And at first when I put it on, it was really bright green. I thought, man, it's going to be funky and I'm going to have to redo it. But once it dries, it tones down quite a bit, and it does give some pretty good, especially on the textured parts of the turret and the hull and stuff, and the recessed detail. It looks pretty good. So I'm just going to stick with it, follow the instructions, and just go the whole the whole 9 yards, as they say, and see how it turns out. And don't know if you noticed, but the commander's cupola, I have not installed that. I taped this off, and I have this stuck to a piece of tape to keep the mating surfaces clean for cement. And the reason I did that is there's clear vision blocks, or whatever you call them, that go in the cupola, sorry. And I didn't want those to get frosted up or painted or anything like that, so that'll be the last thing I do, is I'll glue those in before I glue it onto the turret. So, you know, that way at least it'll keep those clear. So that's that. So I think I'm going to end this particular video here, and then pick it up with, or I mean this segment, I'll end this segment here, and then I'll pick it up with further progress on my weathering. Okay, I have made a little bit of a jump from primer and paint to weathering. I've started weathering the tank here, and I'm getting close to being done. I've got all of the tools and accessories are all painted. I just need to do the handles, paint them the appropriate color, kind of weather them a little bit, and then get those stuck onto the kit, as well as I still have to install the direct vision ports. I need to glue those in, but I'm not actually going to do that until I do the final dust coat, airbrush the final dust coat on the kit. This will be the very last thing I do, and I'll install that. And let's see, I've got the machine gun is painted. I just need to do a wash on it and do a little bit of weathering on that. And then I have a little bit of extra stowage stuff to put on there. I don't really have very much in my stash. I've got the fuel cans that came with the kit. I'll be using those. Those are pretty nice. So I'll be using those. And then I have these here. This is some resin accessories. I have a duffel bag, some packs, and it actually comes from this Verlinden Productions kit bags and rucksacks. You may not be able to see that, but it says Verlinden and something with the address in Belgium. I've had this particular little set here that cost me $4.99 or $4.95 at the time. I've had this set since probably 88, 89 maybe. Bought it at a local hobby shop that's long defunct. I've had them all this time. I haven't used any of them. I think I used some on another kit, but it wasn't very much. But I wanted to put a little bit extra, so I got the duffel bag and a few of the packs, and I'll put those in the this back shelf here, and just to get a little bit of interest. And then the fuel cans, I'll put those somewhere. And then I've got the figure. I've got him glued together, and I got his noggin here, getting ready to start doing some paint on him. And I'm going to try and do a little bit better job on this figure than I have on my other figures. I really want to try and start upping my game a little bit, get things going in a little bit more realistic direction. So I've got the vehicle. I put the decals on, and I got a little bit more weathering to do. Got a little heavy-handed on this side here, but I think it'll be all right. Same there. But one thing I did do, and I've never done this before, I used pigments for the first time in the Vallejo U.S. Vehicles weathering kit. Came with the earth and oxide pigment color. Light sienna is the color. I used that with the pigment binder. I mixed that up, made myself a bit of a lightweight sludge to actually put on the tracks to simulate mud. Put some on the wheels, and it's kind of stark right now in comparison to the rubber part, but you know, that'll all be toned down once I do my airbrush my dust coat on. So so I've got that far, and I got some rust on here. I need to do a little bit of weathering on the rust on the mufflers, and that's pretty much where I'm at. So I think I will end this video here, and one more thing, my vehicle markings. I used Archer Fine Transfers for the first time, dry transfers, and I like them. They work really well. They're easy to use, and man, there's, you know, obviously there's no carrier film, anything weird like that, and they really turned out nice. And I did, you know, 6th Armored Division vehicle in recognition of one of the armored divisions that was attached to my grandpa's regiment during World War II for a brief time. So that's where I am. I'll have to make an antenna, and I'll have to do my cable. I've got the cable ends and all that, and I'll get some material to make the actual cable. But that's where I am right now. Almost done. A little bit more weathering. Got to do my dust coat, add the stuff, and I should be good to go. So the next video should be my final reveal of this kit. So that's it for construction. I'll talk a little bit about the construction of the kit and the painting and all that during the final reveal. So stay tuned for that, and thanks for watching another episode of Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and I will catch you next time.